evening and welcome to Have I News for You. And to celebrate the end of the 23rd series, we've organised a huge party, firework display and spectacular RAF flypast. You may have seen the rehearsals earlier this week. Elsewhere in the news, there's a surprise in the grounds of Buckingham Palace after Prince Charles opens his wallet. Following years of public protest, George Bush decides on an alternative to the lethal injection. And in Notting Hill, police react to the news that Kylie Minogue has her toe stuck in a bath tap. On Ian Hislop's team is a stand-up comic who avoids appearing on television, saying he doesn't want to end up on some celebrity arse show. So obviously he's had a change of heart. Please welcome Ross Noble. And with Paul Merton tonight, a newsreader who began her career as a reporter on Barry Norman's film 98, although she doesn't specify when, Katie Derham. Our first round, not unsurprisingly, features our first question, which, not unsurprisingly, is this. Paul and Katie.
Oh, yeah, this is the Queen's Jubilee. There's the fire there initially. There's the fire still going. There's everybody very happy at last. They've got their money's worth. There was a fire in a cupboard, and television people were desperately to try and turn this into a sort of like, will this affect the Jubilee story? So there was people saying, there's a fire in a cupboard. How will this affect the Jubilee celebrations in Plymouth? Let's find out. Yes, well, everybody here is very worried about the fire in the cupboard, but at the moment they're going to go ahead with those celebrations here. Let's go to Aberdeen. Aberdeen, how's Aberdeen? Well, we're cancelled here in Aberdeen because the wind's in the wrong direction. So, you know, it's a complete load of rubbish.
So who had to be evacuated then when the fire began?
Quite a lot of brooms and some mops.
The brooms were evacuated?
Yeah,
Officially, it was called Bristle Singe.
Right. I hadn't read that. Ozzy Osbourne and Phil Collins, I was thinking of. They were the ones who were rehearsing at the time.
Well, they rehearsed, did they?
You'd be rather more interested in the classical concert on the Saturday night, wouldn't you?
I thought that the pop concert, rather like the Queen, I thought it was jolly good. Particularly those crazy young Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys.
Is it me, or is Brian Wilson actually a puppet now? Because when Kermit the Frog came on, Brian Wilson wasn't around. Kermit was like that.
Didn't ITN manage to get the volume turned down of the concert?
Yes, the all-powerful Dame Sue Tinson apparently managed to pull strings, perhaps Brian Wilson's as well,
yes.
and turn the volume down because John Suchet couldn't hear what was going on in his commentary box.
Has she not got, like, a decent telly? Because mine's got, like, a volume on it. It just goes down, you know?
Yes. So who made their feelings clear about Prince William as they bounded on stage?
Will Young.
Yes.
You're being frighteningly contemporary here. Look at a nosebleed.
And who described the Queen this week as a nondescript 76-year-old little housewife?
It wasn't me.
It was a German newspaper.
Yes, Der Spiegel.
They're always getting into trouble.
Well, they don't like us, do they?
Not really.
Whereas we love them. Anyway, you can be rude about your own relatives, can't you?
The thing about that whole celebration is everyone's going, oh, everyone loves the monarchy now, they love the monarchy, you know, it's fantastic, look at them all turn up. I think they just love fireworks, personally. They could have just had a massive pile of burning tyres and more people would have turned up.
No,
Especially if they'd put S Club 7 on the top of it.
So how would that look on the stamps? A pile of burning tyres, you
That'd be
see?
brilliant.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. And you actually get the taste of the burning rubber as you lick the back.
That's all right.
Yeah.
You know. It could become... Some people could get addicted to that, couldn't they, Angus?
Yes, they could. Lest we forget. This is the Golden Jubilee celebrations, which were briefly threatened by a fire at Buckingham Palace. According to a palace spokesman, the damage was limited to a couple of paintings, although according to the insurance claim, it was 12 paintings, DVD player and a brand new camcorder. Up and down the Mall, it was estimated there were 1 million happy, smiling faces. Still, there was always the concert to look forward to. Ian and Ross, your chance for 2 points.
Football.
Well spotted.
Yeah. I'm not a big sports fan. More football there.
Football.
That's football.
That's golf, is it?
That's international phone lifting. And that's a bloke standing in front of a sign saying Argentina.
I do occasionally get the feeling
guessing-
I've given the question to the wrong team.
That was Ronaldo, and it hit his hip, and then it affected his face. It hit him with such force that it actually impacted, and his eye came out. Like that. Apparently, if you push his eye, his arse comes out.
Yes, we can see Rivaldo's.
Rivaldo, I do
yes,
apologise,
so
I feel a
close,
fool. Look at him go, that's fantastic,
Yeah,
isn't it?
top of the thigh and
Yeah.
ow my nose.
And he admitted later he was cheating. I did read that.
Did you hear his apology?
No, I missed it.
He said, I don't regret anything. In soccer, you have to be sly. That's how you win World Cups.
The noble game, eh?
Yeah. So how have the English players responded to this gamesmanship debate?
They're actually going to be so sly, they're going to come on the pitch dressed as foxes. I think that would be good, though. They should allow them to just tunnel.
Or not tell the opposing team where their goal is. So it might be sort of in Kilburn, or it might be in Bangladesh. It could be anywhere.
Right. Really would be a World Cup then.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
exactly.
So who's standing by ready to leap to action if England get knocked out?
Samaritans.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yes, the Samaritans at the end. In case people are depressed, well, they will be by the time this goes out, won't they? Friday night, there'll be queues outside the Samaritans.
At the moment, we don't know. We don't know if England. We could say England were terrible. They lost 4-0, awful, rubbish, or 3-0, or 2, or 1-0. Or what a great team. They beat Argentina 1-0. 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, 4-0. And everything was going really well until a giraffe ate the referee. He just picked the bits out of that and then put it out as it goes out live.
Yes, this is week 1 of the World Cup and all it contained. The Star this week reported that large numbers of men are expected to call in sick when England play Nigeria. Kieran Dyer, Nicky Butt, David Beckham, to name but 3. Paul and Katie, nothing more than a weak pun for you, I'm afraid. Shearer's looking sheepish.
Ah, now this is that injection that makes all the wool
the wool
fall
falls out, yeah.
But they have to wear a hairnet to catch it, and
Yeah.
apparently this has worked to great acclaim in Australia.
The sheep doesn't know what's happening to it. He's walking around as calm as custard, and suddenly all its wool falls off.
What are the advantages of the injections?
Well, you don't have to shear the sheep and all that sort of thing. You don't necessarily have to make the noise, but there's a little thing there.
Yes, I'm sure that's what this means. It reduces variability, increases carding yield and hauteur, and decreases loss of noils.
Hauteur?
Lots of noils.
Noils.
But sheep need noils.
Isn't the disadvantage that it puts lots of people out of work?
Not the hairnet industry.
There are other problems that sheep shearers are facing as well.
What are they?
Well, women are deserting remote farming communities, so they're getting fewer and fewer women. They're combating this by releasing a calendar, Shearers of the Outback, it's called. We can see Mr.
It's not a great look, is it? It's really
No.
Which way is that sheep facing?
And there are other injections further still that Australian sheep can look forward to.
It's an injection that turns them into geese.
No, bacteria from kangaroo stomachs is being injected into sheep to make them break wind less often.
Why?
Because 14% of all gas emissions in Australia is caused by sheep and cattle.
You are just making this
No.
up,
Yeah.
aren't you?
How is that possibly measured? 14%?
Does
What are
this-
we going to do? Get the contents of a kangaroo stomach injected in it? We've got to stop these fattened sheep. It's a load of rubbish.
Kangaroos, you see, don't break wind. That's well known.
No, they do it when they're hopping, so you can't hear it.
No,
They could just light the gas and use that as a form of fuel.
Yeah.
You know.
You don't need in a lighthouse or something, you need a light going around, just a sheep feeding it baked beans and a little flame underneath. No, that's all you need.
You'd have to spin it.
Yeah.
You know. But if you put it on an angle, it would do that itself.
Exactly.
you, of course, have been on the Australian version of this programme, haven't you?
I have, yes.
How was it?
Well, they don't have any news, which is a bit of a problem. It's g'day. So, someone's bike got nicked. You know.
This is the news from Australia that instead of shearing, farmers can now inject their sheep with a protein which simply causes the fleece to fall off. This isn't the first time that new technology has helped in the shearing process. One previous invention was Shear Easy, the mechanically loaded sheep shearing manipulator and wool handling machine. It does exactly what it says on the rather enormous tin. And finally in this round, Ian and Ross. Now you sack him, now you don't.
There's a man called Michael Wills, who was sacked in the reshuffle, and then Gordon Brown noticed. And he's a friend of Gordon, so he was given a job again. He's Minister of Embarrassment.
He was going to be Minister of Wood and Muffins.
Yeah.
So, oh, we need a job, that'll do.
Apparently there was a terrific row, though the government says there wasn't. So take your pick of the versions.
But what's the official statement from the government been?
There's been no row, he was just forgotten.
Well, they said this sort of froth and trivia we don't bother commenting on, before realising that was actually a comment that they just made. The other unusual aspect of his job, of course, apart from being completely invented, is that there's no salary.
Yeah, completely unpaid.
Really? So it's an unpaid post?
That's almost exactly what I said, Ian, yeah.
Is he actually on work experience then? Is that
I believe so, yes. He gets a car and an office. But,
Not a bad car.
Does he have to do any work? Or can he just drive around and just steal paper clips? I want that. That'd be fantastic.
And what other minister's been caught out this week?
Oh, this was Prescott. Prescott said, if in 5 years' time your trains aren't running better, blame me. And 5 years is up now. And a rough straw poll, anyone's train running any better? No.
But apparently we are allowed to go around and just give him the bumps because of it. Just in the small print underneath. He said, blame me and you can give us a dead leg.
And there was more bad news for all cabinet ministers, in fact, this week. They're going to have to contribute £250.
They've got to have a whip round, for the Queen to get us some sort of novelty item.
It is Michael Wills, who appeared to have been sacked in last week's cabinet reshuffle, only to be given another job 48 hours later. When Mr Wills arrived at his new job at the Home Office, David Blunkett apparently told him, "I'm very pleased to have you in my team," adding 2 sugars, please. The Daily Telegraph felt that the government had handled the reshuffle with an unusual degree of incompetence. So just a small amount, then. At the end of that round, the scores are like the number of toilets provided for the million-strong crowd in the mall, being 4 each side. Only callous killjoy can fail to have been moved by the Jubilee celebrations last weekend. So, for callous killjoys everywhere, here's our tribute to those 50 glorious years as we present our royal test of regal trivia, majestically entitled, Would You Believe It?
You've splashed out on this, haven't you? It's an unfortunate choice of words, Hank. Sorry
Yes. Yes, no expense spent. An amusing play on words there, featured only in every tabloid this week. So, fingers on the buzzers. According to her decorator, what does the Queen have in her bath? Ian and Ross?
Is it an old man tied up?
No.
Hot water.
Very good, but something more than hot water we're looking for. A miniature crown is the right answer, and also a plastic duck.
Yeah.
That's until Prince Philip spotted it and blasted it out of the water. Next, renting what cost the Queen an estimated £30 a year? Ross and Ian?
Videos?
Sounds right.
It's only one video that she's had to pay the overdue fee on. So she's actually had King Ralph, the John Goodman vehicle. She's had that for about a year.
It's not actually videos, no, good guess. It is in fact jigsaws.
She rents jigsaws.
£30.
Who rents out jigsaws?
Yeah, where do you go?
Can't afford to buy a jigsaw. Rent one. £1 a piece.
It's an economy drive. You rent them from libraries.
Do you?
Yeah.
Really?
Can I have one of Windsor Castle? Oh, I know where this bit goes.
Next, when 2 of the Queen's footmen were found in a bath together 6 years ago, what excuse did they give? Paul and Katie?
They were homosexuals.
No, they were implementing the Queen's economy drive, is the answer. In fact, they were actually helping the royal finances as Edward was filming them at the time. Next, what's Prince Philip's nickname for Her Majesty? Paul and Katie?
The money.
It's not the money or Brenda, as far as I'm aware.
Madam Shiny?
George Bishop. That's his nickname for the Queen, George Bishop.
George Bishop, yeah. I can obviously
Smiler.
see why you might suggest that. No, sausage is in fact...
That's right. Yeah.
Yes, he was heard to say, cheer up, sausage, it's not as bad as all that. Presumably because she's fat and German.
I don't think you can do that.
She's not particularly fat.
Nor terribly German, to be honest, either.
But it is good fun poking her with a fork.
Yeah.
Next, what surprising talent has the Queen demonstrated in South Africa and Canada? Paul and Katie?
Ventriloquism. She can make Prince Philip sound normal. She throws her voice.
Is it waving?
Yeah.
It's not really a great talent, is it, to wave?
It's done her pretty well for 50 years.
Can she fill her own knickers up with helium and float her height of 50 feet? Or float over buildings, waving down at people?
Different talent. It is, in fact, the ability to drive a train, which she has, apparently. So, next time they cancel the 8:55 from Windsor, there is a solution. Next, what's the only occasion on which the Queen's been known to swear?
Was it when Germany lost to England in the 1966 World Cup final?
No, it wasn't.
That bugger has. No? Oh, no, I remember now. Yes, it was when they were on a royal tour of China, and everybody was saying, you know, best be very diplomatic and all that. And Prince Philip had made an unfortunate gaffe, and she turned to him and she said, "Philip, give it a f***ing rest, will you?" Too much of that. Zip it.
That's how she speaks.
That's how she speaks.
That's how she speaks normally?
Yeah.
Who'd have thought? No, this is equally untrue. It was when Michael Fagan got into her bedroom. The Queen was said to have said to a footman who came to her help, "Oh, come on, get a bloody move on." Michael Fagan spent 20 minutes in the Queen's bedroom. Even with 4 children, that's longer than Philip's managed.
I don't think you can do bedroom jokes.
And finally, what is the only practical joke known to have been played on Her Majesty? Paul and Katie?
She's not really Queen. It's a joke that's been going on for 50 years.
It was when a whoopee cushion was put on her chair by Ophir Fox, which coincidentally was also the noise it made. Which, inside misinformation, means at the end of this Trivial Pursuit, it's Paul and Katie who are on for a royal flush, ahead as they are 6-4.
Magic.
And so to the cutthroat world of our odd one out round, where only the right answer, after all 3 others have been tried, will do. Paul and Katie, your mad collection comprises Glenda Jackson, Bryan Adams, Bert Troutman and Patient X.
Well, Bert Troutman must be the sort of clue here. Famous for playing for Manchester City and famous for breaking his neck in an FA Cup final was the most famous thing. He was an ex-prisoner of war, played in goal for Manchester City, 1956. Bryan Adams is...
Completely
Bryan
true.
Adams, playing with his arm in a cast.
Yeah, so it's got to be broken bones, isn't it?
Glenda Jackson, when was it? About March, she was on her way to... I think she was on her way to open a homeless centre in Camberwell. She fell, she broke her hip, she broke her wrist, and she still made a speech for an hour.
Yeah, it mainly consists of saying, "Ah, me hip, me out! Get me to the hospital! I used to be on the telly."
But the photo of her having a fag is pertinent because apparently she didn't like the hospital's no smoking policy and was seen staggering out in a Zimmer frame to have a puff outside.
All right, so she carried on making the speech. Bert Troutman carried on playing football, even though he'd broken his neck, and he's all in the famous newsreels and rubbing the back of his neck. So Patient X must be the odd one out for some reason that I can't ascertain.
Is the right answer.
Is he the only one where, if you actually dig into his face, you find treasure?
he's not been named because he featured in a report in the British Journal of Plastic Surgery. He broke his finger last month, undoing his partner's bra, and was rushed to hospital with major ligament damage.
What sort of bra strap was this that broke his finger?
We can only hazard a guess.
Was it made of some special webbing that sort of like rebounded back on him? What happened to the woman wearing the bra? She was catapulted out of the window. Sitting at the top of a flagpole with a bemused look on her face.
Yes.
Brian, we can't go on like this.
Glenda Jackson, who broke her hip and wrist earlier this year, recently criticised the BBC, complaining most of the programmes are remarkably banal and based on repeats, something we agree with wholeheartedly, and we'll agree with it wholeheartedly again tomorrow night at 10:35 on BBC Two. Ian and Ross, the same old faces for you. Pollyanna the reindeer, Fang the chick, Sonar the fox, and the Beatles.
They all took part in the concert at the weekend.
Apart from...
The ones that are dead.
Oh, I know, they're all vegetarians.
Oh, that's a good answer.
Except the fox.
Yeah, Fox isn't a
Who
vegetarian.
quite likes chicken.
Yeah, he loves chicken. Oh, Foxy.
Yeah,
The Beatles are the odd one out,
Why is that then?
because they're the ones who recorded records.
Have you not heard Sonic the Fox?
Oh, it's true, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's
This
very
is
good.
Sonar the fox, I think you mean.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of Sonic the Fox. He's
was
more
better.
garage.
Do you want a clue to this answer?
Yes,
Yeah, go on,
Right.
go on.
The answer is in a Beatles song that Ringo sang the lead on.
Little help
Well
from my
known then.
friends. Yellow Submarine.
Yes, good. Yellow Submarine is good.
In
they
the
all live-
town where I was born lived a man. You know how it goes.
Well, we thought we did, yes.
Ah, no, right, I've got it. In the Second World War, right, there was a reindeer that the Russians gave, or it might have been the Finns, gave to the British, and it was put in a nuclear submarine, or not nuclear submarine, it wasn't nuclear submarine then. Put in a submarine and it was brought back in this country 4 months later, and this reindeer came out. It was a gift from some people to us people over here. So they've all been in submarines. The Beatles have been in a submarine, except they've not really been in a submarine because they wrote about it, so they were in a cartoon version. So the chick, the fox, and the antelope have all been in submarines, but the Beatles haven't because they just wrote a song about it.
It is a good and correct answer.
I remember it's one of the early days of the Second World War. A reindeer was on board a submarine for about 4 months.
Yeah,
Can you imagine?
HMS Trident.
Was it?
Yes. There we are. That's Pollyanna there. And Fang the chick lived on board HMS Repulse in the 70s, and he eventually retired.
With a full pension?
I believe so, yes. And Sonar the Fox lives on HMS Ocelot in Chatham at the moment.
Does it actually live in there? I've been round HMS Ocelot in Chatham.
Yeah, did you see a fox?
No.
No.
There was no fox in there.
No.
That's because he was round the back in the bins.
Being cunning.
A naval spokesman said he's become a bit of a local celebrity. And if you've ever been to Chatham, you know how easy that is. Pollyanna the reindeer was taken aboard HMS Trident, where the crew were at a loss as to what to do with it. According to one rating, we tied the reindeer's legs together and took him up the torpedo hatch. Well, they had been at sea a long time. All of which animated conversation means at the end of this feature, it's Ian and Ross who are drawing a blank, trailing as they do 10-4. Our final round then features the familiar plague of black oblongs, covering various parts of offending articles, together with none or more from this week's guest publication, the definitively titled Bollards. Surprisingly, not a Richard Desmond magazine, but a serious publication about these particular items of street furniture. So, pray silence for Eton Boys told what?
One day you'll rule the world.
You all look like Harry Potter. Is it shoot gypsies?
Yeah, shoot at gypsies. Yes.
Oh, very good.
This is an order telling cadets at Eton to shoot any gypsies found on the playing fields. It later turned out to be a joke. It should have just read bayonet any gypsies found on the playing field. Next, prepare for what?
Gypsy hunting season.
For new bollards hitting the high street any time now.
No, it is from Bollards.
Yeah, prepare for new bollards. New bollards are coming along now. You thought you knew bollards until you see the new bollards, and they really are new bollards. Forget what you thought about bollards, here come the new bollards.
It's not that story, no, it's a different one.
prepare for bollards, and that's all, but just written with loads of B's.
You're saying, is it a typing error? No. It is, in fact, prepare for your bollards by digging a ground hole and backfilling with concrete and aggregate mix. Which I knew what you were about to say. Next, darling, I'll make you what?
Promise I won't go to the newspapers.
I'll make you a big wicker monkey.
I'll make you pay on motorways. And finally, women are better at what?
Lying.
Yes, women are more fluent speakers generally. Telling lies is the answer. Using half the number of ums and ahs that men do.
Is that true in your experience?
They are... All of which verbal fireworks mean at the end of tonight's display, this week's damp squibs are Ian and Ross with 6, while this week's bright sparks are Paul and Katie with 13. So the dog's bollocks to our winners, the rest of the set menu at the Korean restaurant to our losers. But before we ever let them slip away, the golden opportunity that is our caption competition. Ian and Ross have this.
Blair employs mini-me.
Fudge, anyone?
Blair enjoys flag dinner.
Thank you. Paul and Katie get that.
Buckingham Palace chapter of the Hells Angels.
He did like
Scientists create giant Prince Philip and put him on normal-sized motorbike.
On which ultimate note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Ross Noble, Paul Merton and Katie Derham. And I leave you with news of a bawdy atmosphere at the Queen's Jubilee concert as Atomic Kitten take to the stage. At the Sir Walter Raleigh Appreciation Society, there's a light-hearted moment before the Queen disappears down a manhole. And following this morning's result, Her Majesty the Queen sends a message of goodwill to the people of Argentina. Good night.